All right, so today I want to show how to make a laser blast. I see a lot of tutorials on YouTube about like how to create one solid beam across the sky. Whoops. And that can be great depending on the properties that you want for your laser beam to have. Like if you want a solid beam that sort of appears and it's like a long blast, that's cool. But I didn't find many on how to do just kind of a rapid fire thing like this. And I think also with the beam tutorials, usually they're using like a ribbon renderer, and we're just going to use sprites for this. I'm just going to do a quick demonstration here about how I did this. The ultimate goal was to attach it to this ship here. I'm working on a scene right now, like a cinematic scene, so I wanted to get it attached to the ship right here. Okay, so to start off, I highly recommend keeping your files organized in this so you don't get confused. In mine, this is just a demonstration. I've already made this laser, so I started with a minimal emitter. Let's call it, I do NS for Niagara system tutorial. I open it. I'm going to be going back and forth between this and my other laser just to make sure I've figured out what in the world I'm doing here. So first off, as you can see in this other laser, I use a spawn burst instantaneous particle emitter. And you get this single dot here. And also, side note, if your background is not black, you can go into preview scene, go to environment. You'll probably have this checked, turn that off, and then you can change the environment color to black instead of whatever 50% gray it's using right now. So that creates one particle right now, and this particle is currently living for 5 seconds. So I didn't change anything in the spawn burst instantaneous, that's totally fine. But under initialize particle, I did set it to 2 seconds. This is a bit of a balancing act depending on the properties that you want for your laser, but I'll show you kind of like what changes if you adjust that. So now it only lives for 2 seconds. Now, as you can see here, clearly these lasers are flying upwards, and they also have some shape to them, and they're glowing. So there's a lot to change here. The first thing, to get some motion to these lasers, let's add velocity in the particle spawn. It's going to give you these errors. You can just hit fix issue, and it'll add these here. It's extremely slow. I had to add a lot of velocity to mine to get it to fly that fast. So let's start with 3000, just so you can kind of get a feel for. And one thing to note is that it's just shooting one laser at a time right now, so you're not going to like see super clearly what's going on here. See if I can't. Actually, we'll show environment real quick just to kind of see what angle I'm working with here so I can get a little bit closer to it maybe. Okay. All right. So that's a decent speed for a laser, but we're going to adjust that later. You don't have to worry about rotation right now. I'll show you that later and how to make it adjustable so it changes in space instead of just flying sideways. Solid forces and velocity, in particle state, these are automatically added, so you don't have to adjust those at all. One thing that you will want to add is color. That gives it the glowing laser look. So under particle spawn, you can add color. Drop down this caret menu here, and this will change it to either red, green, or blue. And you would want to set these to 1000 of whatever color you want. I'm going to change it to red because it's easier to see against a blue sky just for the tutorial. Once you do that, you have this beam going across. So one thing I forgot to mention is that this looks great, but it's all coming as these circles that are just flying up in the air. And the way to fix that and to get it to look like an actual laser beam is you go into your initialized particle, go to sprite attributes, sprite size mode. You want to turn that to non-uniform. We're not doing random We're doing non-uniform. And this essentially, you go with some pretty big numbers here, because from far away, it's going to look pretty small. And now you can see it's like a rod of laser going across instead of just like a circle. So real quick, I'm going to drag the laser tutorial beam into our scene just so we can kind of see what's going on here. It's always a good idea to do that so you can make sure that you've got a good look for your laser. So it's going very slowly again, like we can change that. I'm going to hit G to turn off the gizmo so we can see what's actually going on. Okay, that's kind of cool. I like the way the laser looks. I'm okay with keeping it slow for now, just so we can kind of understand the properties of the laser. It kind of has a sort of flickery, flaming look, and that's because we're zoomed far away from it. That's kind of an artifact, so you would need to like change the size of that to get rid of it. So, as you can see in my other laser, it's firing a lot of them, and the way I got that is you have this little node here, and under system state you have loop duration, and that's basically saying that like 5 seconds go by and then another particle shoots. 5 seconds go by and then another particle shoots. So we don't want that because that's too long. So we're going to keep it on infinite, but we're going to turn this into a random range flow. I did that because I was hoping that it wouldn't just fire super, one after another, after another, after another. I was hoping it would have like a little bit of a deviation there, and looks like it kind of is there. So what I set mine to was 0.2 and 0.4, so minimum 0.2, and then maximum 0.4. And now you see it's coming pretty fast. Yeah. And now we have a bit of a balancing act, because these are coming really fast, but they're moving kind of slow. And it looks a little goofy. Like, I don't know that a ship flying in would move at this pace. So I might bump my velocity up and play with that and see how that does. Notice also the length that the laser goes will change with the lifetime. So if we boost this lifetime up to say like 4, it'll go a lot further. So the lasers still spawn at the same rate because that's determined by the system state that we set here, the loop duration. They're spawning at 0.2 and 0.4 second intervals. But they go a lot further depending on what lifetime we set. So you may not really need a very long lifetime depending on how far the beam is going or where the target is. Now, this is great. And just, for fun, we can change the color, and I'll show you how that could look if it was maybe blue. It's kind of cool. But here's a problem that we have. If we rotate this guy, it starts shooting out sideways, which is not what we want. So in order to fix that, and sometimes actually when I was messing with it, I couldn't even get it to rotate in the direction I wanted it to, like it wouldn't even shoot out the side. So what you would want to do is under add velocity, select this to none. That should allow you to rotate it around. And then under your sprite renderer, there's this tab called alignment. You want to set that to velocity aligned. Properties, local space. Save, always save. That's something I forget to do. Now it aligns with the gizmo. Okay, so let's say you have your laser beam and you have a ship and you want them to be aligned, like you want the laser to be coming out of the ship. All you really have to do is drag it. I've already kind of changed the angle of it. This is the original one I made, but yeah, you just have to drag it onto the ship. And then you would drag your NS laser, drag your Niagara system onto whatever static mesh or actor your ship is and parent it to the laser. So now whenever you move the ship around, the laser moves with it. And I'll show you kind of like a little preview of what I'm making right now. So let's say the ship is flying through the scene. You can barely see that my lasers are following the ship. You can see them right here. They're very faint. And then you can see them a little bit better. But see, that means I need to, this is a work in progress, by the way, but it means I need to change the size of these lasers because they're a little too small, or change this to a nighttime scene. That'll make things a little easier to see. Now, the way I got that to attach is, first off, I'm not going to run through the entire tutorial of how to, set up a sequencer, but you would set up your camera, put your ship on a track that you want, keying that in here, the transform and everything. This is my ship in my sequencer. I would also then drag in my laser separately into the sequencer. I would hit track, I would hit attach, and I would bind to laser 3, which is the one I created for this. And after I did that, then the laser was following the ship in the sequencer as well. So this is my rough, this is the extra laser I had that I was working on. So again, a little difficult to see, but it would be flying in. It did bring in the laser successfully. Now, one thing, and there we go again. One thing though is that, if you want the laser to change angles and that sort of thing, you would need to go into the sequencer and then key that. But just for a basic attachment to the ship, it's pretty simple. Hope that was helpful, and look forward to seeing what kind of stuff you guys make with that. So I'm an animator and visual effects artist, and I post on YouTube pretty casually, but if this is super helpful for you, give it a like and subscribe, and that encourages me to post more stuff like this to help visual effects artists. And if you have any questions about it, post them in the comments below, and I'll see if I can help you out.